Thanks, Hills. If you search for highlights reel of Andrew Symonds' Test career, you're going to get a lot of his 100 against England, and rightly so. But a lot of people forget that 12 months earlier, at the same venue, in the same Boxing Day Test, and with the same batting partner, Roy came to the crease and he was under pressure to perform on the Test arena to hold his spot in the 5-day format. Against South Africa, we're in a little bit of strife. A few wickets were handy with the ball, but he really needed to score some runs. And being his mate, and a lot of other people, we wanted to see him not just playing one-day cricket, but playing Test cricket. And so we prayed that he get some runs. The poem that I wrote that day, when he did score 50, I rang him that afternoon. I knew he'd be on the field or he'd be occupied with the Test. And so I left it on his voicemail. And when he got back into the dressing sheds that evening, he gave me a ring and he said, "Thanks, mate." He said, that was bloody good. He said, "I'm sitting here with Phil Jakes." He said, "Do you reckon you could do one for him as well?" Such was his generosity. I suppose, you wouldn't be surprised that Roy was true blue. He loved that Australian poetry, that great tradition, along with a lot of other simple things in life. And the poem that I wrote, I suppose it consolidated a friendship. It cemented his place in the Test side, but it consolidated a friendship. But there was a deal. It was like part of that friendship deal was that when, in the years to follow, Roy had been on a fishing trip and a crabbing trip with his mates that went into the night, and they were back in the shed, sitting around the fire after a few tins. Roy would feel that it was an appropriate time to give me a call. It was usually around about midnight. To put me on loudspeaker for he and his mates to recite a couple of his favourites. Green and Gold Malaria was one, and another more of an obscure favourite was my ode to the axe Trevor Gillmeister, the Winter Whiting Blues. And it worked well the first time, so he thought that he'd keep doing it. And on a regular basis, so I'd be lying in bed, asleep or almost asleep, and the phone would ring and I'd see Andrew Symonds come up on the screen. And I'd quickly pick it up and run out of the room to deliver. After a few times where that happened, I'm pretty sure my wife thought I was having an affair. But I would say, it's all good, it's only Roy. If only Roy could ring me tonight around that fire with his mates. Paddy and Parso and the lads, this is what I would recite. With the comfort of wickets, 3 scalps of the Bock, he strode to the centre. He needed a knock. He looked to his partner, his dreadlocks are swishing, and Haydos said, "Simo, it's time we went fishing." The white-lipped assassin then brandished his rod, he baited his hook and replied with a nod. With a 6 to get started, he signalled his ploy, and I whispered ambitiously, "You ripper, Roy." He fed off the frenzy, the spinners inviting. His rod kept on casting, the big ones kept biting. His shoulders unfolded, the onslaught was violent. 6 monster snapper. The critics went silent. He totally nailed them. He scaled them as well. His 50 was fitting, was a straight one off Nell. With a sigh of relief and a quiet tear of joy, I hugged my 4 kids and screamed, "You ripper, Roy." They towered like troubadours. Deadly defiant, the white-lipped assassin and Hados the giant. Bowlers once dominant cowered in fear. He came and he saw and he saved his test career. To murder the seed with a flurry of wood. To do for the crest what we knew that he could. His wicketing war dance, his seek and destroy. And the mob at the G chanted, "You ripper, Roy." Fate marks a moment in everyone's life. The tide turns at dusk and the big fish are rife. Instinct befriends you, confidence grows, talent takes over and everything flows. Where to from here? Well, with him, who's to say? The ocean is deep and the fella can play. For now, let's acknowledge the dream of a boy and the day he fulfilled it. You ripper, Roy. Ooh.